Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday. We took one trade today, one win. It was a bit of a sloppy day. Executions could have been better. I missed one setup that looked really nice. I guess I just sort of hesitated, tried to get a little too cute with it. But going into the day, basically what I was looking at, the first thing I had marked up was these perfect equal highs up here. So we have equal highs, very obvious equal highs, and then price starts to trend lower. So as soon as we're down here, as soon as we start trending lower on the day, I mark up these lows and I realize that these are probably going to be the most obvious. This is going to be the most obvious liquidity pool that price is trending towards. So I don't want to take any longs to these equal highs until we sweep these lows. So I wasn't necessarily looking for shorts, but I wanted to wait for these lows to get swept before I started looking for long opportunities. So that's what happened. We start dropping. We tap back into this big ass 5-minute fair value gap here, and we hold this to the downside and take these lows out. So now that these lows are swept, I sort of have the green light to go long here. So we sweep this huge liquidity pool. We have equal highs above, and now I am looking for a reversal. It is around 10, which is very common. It's a very common time to get reversals. So I start looking for a reversal. I mark up this 5-minute fair value gap, and I'm looking for this to get inverse. Now this is sort of where I went wrong. I don't really like taking longs off of 5-minute inverses. It's not really my cup of tea per se. But however, when this 5-minute gap is only 12 points, I feel like I can afford to take a risk like that. For example, if I was trying to long this inversion here, that is something I wouldn't necessarily take because that's a 54-point stop. But in this case, this gap is relatively small. I should be willing to take a long off something like this, but instead, this is what I did. So we get the inverse. This realistically should have been my entry, or I should have waited for a pullback to the upside. But what I wanted to see happen is I wanted us to inverse this 5, come back down, retest it, get a gap somewhere in here. So let's say we make a gap to the downside like this. And then I wanted to see us come back up, inverse that gap, and then I would have entered long to the upside. So I was waiting for the retest of the 5, and then I wanted to see a 1-minute fair value gap. And for some reason, I can't play price on the 1-minute chart, which is super, super annoying. So let me just get out of replay real quick. So this is what happened. We do eventually get the pullback into this 5. We close above the 5 here. We get the pullback. And at this point, this candle looks like it would potentially leave a gap to the upside. So I had this marked up and I wanted to see another candle potentially print and close here, which would have left a gap for us to inverse and then go up. But unfortunately, price reversed very quickly. And we never left the gap. And then I watched price go without me to the first TP, which would have been here. That would have been about let's say we inversed here, that would have been about a 25-point trade. So we missed out on this opportunity. Looking back on it in hindsight, I think I would have been better off just to wait for the retrace into the 5. Again, it's so easy to say you should have done something differently in hindsight after watching it work out. But again, you can see the 5 comes back, retest, the entry would have been the retest, and you could have captured a cool 35 points to the upside there. So that was a solid trade. I am not going to hesitate on these 5 minutes from now on. I see them play out all the time. But the trade that I did take was, and again, wasn't my cleanest trade, but this is the trade that I hopped in right here. So again, we get a pullback into discount of this price leg. We leave a 5-minute fair value gap here. We're using it as resistance, resistance, resistance. We finally break through here, and then I decided to take a long position as soon as this 5-minute closed. I waited for the retest. We got the retest on this 5-minute candle here. I hopped in, stopped below the order block. That's a short position. Hold on. So we get tapped in here, stop below the order block, and I took profit at this swing high here for about a 1 to 1.3, which again isn't the best risk to reward, but these 5 minutes had been playing out all day. 5-minute played out to the upside. Again, we inverse the 5. I expected to at least sweep this high here, which is what happens. And because price was pretty choppy, I was not necessarily willing to hold to the equal highs. And as you can see, as soon as we take this high, we end up reversing. On top of that, we are sort of holding a 5 minutes breaker here. So I wasn't really willing to get too cute with this trade. You can see it on the 1. It's a little bit more clear on the 1. So we get the 5-minute close here. We come back down, tap into this 5-minute order block. This was my entry, and then we push up, and everything is off the table as soon as we take this high right here. So that was about a measurement tool, please. That was about a 18-point trade on the day. Again, not the cleanest trade, but it worked out in the end. And as you can see, we start to reverse immediately after going back down to the downside there. So Powell is speaking at 3. The reason price is so choppy today and sort of just range bound, you could say, is because people are just simply sitting on their hands waiting for that 3 p.m. news to hit. No one really wants to hop in positions now. People would rather just wait for that red folder 3 p.m. news to come out. Like whenever Powell speaks, the market just goes crazy. So I would not recommend taking trades anytime past 12. Like this trade was getting a little bit close for me, just because the closer you get to that big news event, the choppier price is going to get. Like I guarantee we're just going to chop around for the rest of the day until Powell speaks. And then once we hit 3, we're probably just going to swing around like freaking crazy. Anyway, so that was the day summed up. A cheeky $300 win. Not the biggest win, but a win is a win. And I'll show the executions. I'll pop them up on the screen right here. And yeah, that's it. That's Thursday summed up. Last week was a bit choppy. It was election week. We took a couple of losses during election week. Nothing too crazy. It's all about managing risk so you can come back and trade another day. So the account took a little bit of a hit, but I believe it's back up to about 1,400. So we're nearly halfway to passing this 50K account. And then we go back to the live account. Spencer is still on the live, so he's still taking trades. He's still looking for his first payout. And yeah, man, that was the day summed up. Not the best day, definitely not the worst day. It was nice to sort of stay disciplined through all this crap. Again, sort of salty that I missed this trade here, but it is what it is, man. Yeah.